Welcome to another edition of the Bridges Bulletin. Let's get started.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Dyann Bridges, and today I want to talk about sharing, because a lot of men don't seem to know how to do that very well. And it ruins a lot of relationships that could otherwise be fantastic. I hear this quite a lot from men and women, that at some point, the connection and intensity and sharing starts to cool off, and it's mostly because of him. And let me explain that. What I have often heard and experienced myself is that a man will work very hard to get a woman's attention within, say, the first 6 months or so. And he will take her out and they'll spend a lot of time together. He'll compliment her a lot. He'll buy her gifts. And they genuinely share. They will share each other's thoughts, deep thoughts, and, personal events that were, embarrassing or traumatic somehow. The kind of things that you wouldn't normally talk about with an acquaintance or even friends. And it feels intense, and you're building a connection, a deeper connection. And then at some point, after 6, 8, 10 months or so, all of that starts to cool off. And you as the man are not sharing as much. You're not paying as much attention to her. You're not taking her out as much. You're not complimenting her as much. And worst of all, you're not really sharing yourself, your inner thoughts, your real feelings with her. And that's what she needs. If you've got a good woman in your life, she needs you to share yourself. And frankly, you need to do that. That's part of what's going to make you a better man. And I can often tell men who've been married to a good woman because it changes them. They're never quite the same again. A woman gets into his heart in a way that nobody and nothing else can. And so many men admitting a frailty or vulnerability, or to admit that they're scared, is really an extremely difficult thing, to the point where a man won't even admit it to himself, let alone to anybody else. However, I dare say that as a man, if you do not find a woman that you can truly and genuinely share your feelings and frailties with, you're missing out big time. You can't be a full man and not find a woman to truly be intimate with on every level. It all comes down to how much you're willing to share yourself with her. Is she the kind of woman that you can share that with? Or is it truly just your fear? This is something to think about as well. Some women are not worthy of sharing your innermost vulnerabilities and fears and frailties with. They'll end up using it against you somehow. They'll end up criticizing you because of it, humiliating you with it sometimes, using it as a reason to be disrespectful. That's their problem. You don't want somebody like that in your life. Get rid of that one. Seriously. You must find a woman who is gentle and sensitive and compassionate, so that you can relax and feel confident in revealing these things. You're allowed to do that with one woman, if nobody else on the planet. And when you find a woman to do that with, it'll change you forever for the better. You'll be more human, more real, stronger, more aware, more mature. And I'll tell you, these days we're in short supply of men like that. So I encourage you, gentlemen, to dig deep and face your fears. Don't lie to yourself. That's the worst thing you can do. But be aware of your own fears and frailties, and then have the courage to find a woman that you can actually share some of that with. Not all at once, but in little bits. See how she responds each time, to the point where you know you can trust her. But shutting down and stopping yourself from sharing at some point because you're afraid that you may not measure up in her eyes will only lead to her leaving If you have a woman who has a certain amount of self-esteem and self-respect, she wants you for you. And if you've made a connection emotionally and intellectually, she's going to want you to share on a regular basis. She wants to hear your innermost thoughts. If you don't do that, she's going to get bored. It's not just about what you do together. If you're not sharing yourself with her, if you have a good woman, she's going to feel like something's missing in the relationship. And that's because there is. It's a good chunk of you. So I would encourage you to really own those frailties. That's the one person you really should never ever lie to is yourself. And then that way, you can find a woman who you can share the more vulnerable parts of yourself with, and thereby gaining so much more in the process. So I'll leave it there. I wish you the best. If you need some help with that, I'm a coach and confidant for men. You can go to relatorsmanual.com for more. Thank you for listening and have a very sensual day.